automatically come to the video or maybe stays for a while. I believe that there may be Argentine supporter for today, right? A little bit happy. Sometimes I had to request that come on the screen. But this time I found like you are stayed a little bit more. So I believe that maybe you are Argentine fan, enjoying the time. Okay, let's start. I think the eye we have said is one of the another component for watching the image. Otherwise, actually, you cannot see it. Now, why do you need the light for it to see the image? The image you can see, you must have light and eye. We already said if you have any one thing is absent, you cannot see the image. So why light is actually important? Can anyone tell that why we need the light, or why we cannot see anything without light?
So exactly, light does reflect the color. So
Lights just reflect the color.
yes, sir. How we see? I didn't
How?
get. Yes, sir.
How we can say it is color? Do you have color somewhere that that's how you can see?
When the light fall on an object, the object which color does contain, it's only reflect that color, and the rest it absorb. That time
Okay.
this color reflect into our eyes, and we can see it.
So you have seen that the color is nothing but part of the light.
Yes, sir. Like the white
Okay.
color has all.
As you can see here, that color is actually we feel very happy to coloring everything, right? But this is all about kind of a illusion as with the light. So it sounds like little bit weird, but this is actually the truth. Any object, whatever it have the color, that color actually it actually absent that color in that object. So that's why you can see that color in there. Okay, the rest of the color is actually absorbed. So if you have a red shirt, that means actually red color is absent there. So that's why you can see that shirt is red, and you can only see when that electromagnetic wave actually come to your eye, and there is some actually process happens inside your eye to your brain, so that you can see it. So if there is any kind of actually disruption in that sense, then actually you cannot see. So that's actually the thing. The reflection is necessary. That's why you need actually the so is there any situation that you have light, you have eye, but you cannot see something? Can it happen?
In night.
Night you don't have light, so that's why you cannot see. We understand night means actually dark, right? The absence of light, so nothing is reflecting, so that the light, it is not reflecting and coming to your eyes, so that's why you cannot see. But I'm saying you have light, you have eye, both are perfect, but still some object maybe you cannot see.
If the temperature
Because
is
of the
higher, sir,
range, the visual range,
Visual length,
the
Pratyusha, you say?
range, the
Range.
frequency, the whatever the range we can see, if it is less than or more than that, then we cannot see that.
No, I'm not talking about electromagnetic. We said the electromagnetic wave is the light, that range. So you have actually what is called the sufficient light you have, say like in the daylight, and my eye is also fine, but I said some object you cannot see. Can it happen?
Or if there is no reflection, then we cannot see.
Exactly, that was why actually I'm emphasizing that is about the reflection. So what could be an example?
glass, sir.
Glass, exactly, or say like water even, right? Sometimes if the light perfectly actually pass through, that means actually it is not reflecting or coming to your eye, so that's why you cannot see. So reflection is so important, as you can see, right? So and otherwise actually it can create trouble. You cannot see glass if it is actually so transparent, so that you cannot actually find it out. The structure of eye, look at in the face here, which is we first actually the light enters through that lens and cornea. There are actually two components here, which is actually a transparent structure that actually protect the eye. So that cornea is actually that transparent structure which mainly the protect the eye. The eye is actually a ball shape, as you know, a round shape object. And the lens, we all know that this is actually having a work for the focusing point. That's why that lens is actually working out. Now the iris actually opens and closes to adjust the amount of light entering in your eye. So as it is a very sensitive part which is actually connected with the nerve, as you know. So as light also actually a radiation or electromagnetic wave, so it needs to have a control. Okay, so that's why that iris are actually controlling that one. Just give me a second, let me close the window. All right, so for that iris actually control that one for how intensity of the light that it should come. Like when you go to actually strong sunlight, then automatically the iris try to cover and take a minimum level of the light inside your eye. Otherwise, it could be actually dangerous. We know that it could actually burn your lens as well. Then the lens forms an image on a 2D structure. So whatever the light enters here, and it's actually 2D structure on the retina. Retina is such a kind of actually, you know, the screen that you can see in the cinema hall. So a screen that actually where that light comes in the and that image actually which is coming through for reflecting the light and fall down in here in the retina. And the interesting thing is that object is actually upside down. So whenever we see anything, that actually the visual image which is creating into your eye is actually upside down. It's not the actually the structure that we can see. Now that entire thing, whatever happens here, it or that entire signal actually pass through the brain, and then actually there we can have some kind of senses, and that senses is actually the visual senses we can see. So this is just like a machine. We can understand the brain is actually the main part which can actually identify the objects. Now rods and cones are the light sensors which are actually located in the retina. So in the actually entire screen, the retina, the two objects, rods and cones are actually over there. They are actually sensors in fact, and they are excited by electromagnetic energy in the range of 350 to 780 nanometer. That means actually through the light they get the senses. Okay, so whenever you feel like relax, you switch off all the light in the dark, and you feel like actually all the senses, as you know, that it is started to give you a very relaxed feeling. And whenever the light is started to actually illuminate, or means you get the light started to actually touch, even your eyes are actually closed, still you can feel. If you close the eye and still the room is light up, then still you can feel. So that internal those sensors started to actually get the sense, and they woke up and they get the signal. Now that rods are for low level light, these component rods, and cones are actually for the high level light, that means for the day vision. So two type of sensors are working at two different time. Okay, and this night vision, that as you can see, which is actually quite a low level light that can handle, they are monochromatic. That means actually you see in the night, most of the time the color you cannot see it properly because of those sensors, but in daylight you can see the best color actually. That means that better, more powerful actually those sensors. And they are not actually useful in the dark. So such an interesting part of the nature, as you can see, that how complex way that mechanism has been done, and the two different sensors are working in the two different time of the sensors. So definitely the cones are the natural electromagnetic wave that they can handle, and if they can work out in the night time, definitely there would be some problem. But a special type of actually sensors are actually using on the night vision. The fovea, there is actually some high resolution area in the retina. So this entire screen, there is also some part actually having the high resolution. Okay, so you can understand that such a smart machine, that some part has been used for the high resolution. Maybe you need it, and the cones are mostly at the fovea, and rods are all over the retina. And these two type of sensor, which is actually needed for the daytime, they are mostly in the fovea area, which is high resolution they have for the retina. But the cones, which is used for um, uh, sorry, the rods are actually all over the which are rods used for night vision, they are actually entire retina they have. So in the daytime and nighttime, we can also understand in the retina that our entire process maybe is not used, that high resolution area is used, so you get tiring maybe. So it give you after evening, maybe after the daytime, at the end you may get more tiring actually through your eye or visual actually aspect. In the morning maybe you get fresh because you just started our actually activity on the cones with that high resolution area for the retina. The optic nerve is the signal processor, and that sends the image to the visual cortex, that means in the brain, where the high level function are actually works, and complex works in there, such as object recognition are carried out. So you can understand now, still the humans are actually the technicians, the scientists, the computer scientists especially, they are working on the robotics that work to make it perfect. If it is possible, then actually the computer vision and the robotics can be in such a height, like through seeing the image you can actually do many things. Now entire of this visual aspect, what is happened, that goes through some signal with that optic nerve, which is connected some part of the brain. That part of the brain is actually the visual cortex records. So because in the brain there are two things as well, the processor and the memory, as same like in the computer. So that part, the processor actually that process it, that what it should be, and take the help from the memory. Now what kind of help in the memory that it can take as like the computer? Because you see that some object, you see like your friend, you know that he is your friend. How do you know that he is your friend? Because you at some point come to know that he is the person, could be your friend. Your memory is stored that actually information, and that information is actually checked over the time whenever you see him. Now in the film, as we have seen that in Bangladeshi film or old movies, that people get actually had a bang on the head, right, and they forget everything, and then suddenly at another time got another actually stuck on something with the head strongly, and they can start remember everything, right? So naturally actually, even though it is cinematic, but naturally it can happen, because you may get hurt in your that memory system, then definitely it can create a trouble. I have seen actually, as you know, that last week my mother was sick, and I have seen actually exactly some same actually natural process like this visual cortex. My mother was actually having some lacking of sodium, which is very important part for the body in the blood. So electrolytic imbalance happened. Sodium was too low. It is when it is too low. So I discussed with one of my friend who is doctor, that it goes if 120 lower, then what happened, the brain has actually in the processor with this neurons are having some connectivity with one to another, and those portion get try to dry up if you don't get the sodium, and if they get a dry up, they cannot get the excess of the memory. So 2 3 days my mother was forgetting many things, and she was actually talking something which is not relevant, and we were get worried, maybe thought like got a stroke or something, but later we found like no, it is few part of the accessing point of those neurons were getting trouble when she was actually having lack of sodium. So you can see that how complex the body structure is, and so many things are actually involved. So if you are somehow feeling well and healthy, then you should be blessed actually, because it is such a complex machine and very easily it can get trouble. And that's actually that optic nerve, when it takes that to the visual cortex of brain, there that high level functions are actually happen. What they try to find out, the recognition, the object recognition happens through the brain to check the memory, to check that whether you know it or not. Then there are actually the processor have according to the visual impact that you need to do some action, so that they do the signal to that part of your body to react. Like some of your friend is throwing actually cricket ball to you, and you are just taking that catch as a holding that as a catch, and why you are doing it, your hands are actually holding it because that your brain gives you the signal. That is also called the reflection of the body, that happens through the signal which pass as quick as possible in your body. It works in actually fraction of seconds. It happens into your brain. The resolution of our visual system is the size of objects we can see. More technically, it is measure of how close we can place 2 points and still recognize that there are two distinct points. That's why we have seen that in phosphor persistence, we try to check actually that what is called that 2 points, how close they can be, so that we can identify they are actually two different points. This is actually the way the resolution actually check. You know that automatically the camera lens actually adjust on the basis of that point, so that two different point they bring as close as much, and they find like they are still 2 points. When they overlap, you cannot see 2 points, you can see only 1 point, then the resolution actually break up. So your eye automatically with the brain gives that signal actually, that automatically adjusts it, so that you can see something from 1 mile away, also you can see something that 1 feet away, and that is in the best resolution according to your eye adjust. Okay. Such a powerful machine. So another interesting thing is actually our eyes actually do not react uniformly at different wavelength. There, the reason is not find out for it. This is the strength. That's why. Can you see these three colors here, right? So
Yes, sir.
which color do you feel something different here?
So the
It
blue one.
gives you some feeling. Do you feel all three colored in the same way? Yes, Parvez? Do
Sir,
you feel that
when
all three?
we are seeing
Yes.
at a glance, we are mostly focusing on the green. It's not
Right,
light.
that's what I'm saying. You are not focusing. Your brain automatically is actually having some senses about that color, right?
Yes, sir.
You know that the reason is unidentified. If you have actually, they are actually, we call it say like a single frequency that we have for the color. The If you check the position here, the red, then actually the green, then the blue. Now red is actually having the high wavelength but low frequency. More than red, some frequency is high for green, but the blue is actually more higher frequency than the green, but the wavelength is actually low. Now green is actually sitting in between of them. That's why we cannot say maybe high wavelength that you can feel some sensitivity that our brain can feel, or high frequency that for blue, which can give our actually some kind of sense. We cannot say it because green sits in between of them. Then what is the reason that this color gives you some actually different sensitivity, as like the yellow as well, when they go for it actually combined color with these three actually primary color. Now that's why the green has been used for this reason. So green and the yellowish green has been used for, you can see that for the what is called the emergency people, they do use, like in the ambulance, that the people for the medics, or maybe the firefighter, or those who work in the highway. As you know, in the highway as well, the reflection light is actually the green. That is because easily it can actually ignite something, some senses in our brain. Okay. And if these two lights are emit energy with the same intensity, if they have the same intensity of these three colors, still you find some different sensitivity for the green light as comparing with the red and blue. So this some of the things are actually not any logic you can actually identify for it. It is actually having some other color which is having high frequency than that, it is actually not sensitive. Lower frequency of that, still it is not maybe sensitive, but in a very certain point of the frequency, when we get actually green color, that actually gives us some kind of sensitivity. Okay. So that's a very short about our eye for the discussion. As you know that the camera works on the basis of it as well, and mostly the thing is the eye. Uh, this sensors, that how actually can be used, or how the object, that reflection happens an object in the two-dimensional, it's actually happening in the upside down. The head is actually down, the legs are on the up, but when the signal goes in your brain, in the visual cortex get the sensitivity, so that actually you can see that object, right? Now do you believe that without eye we can see?
How,
Without
sir?
eye,
So are you
it
talking
is
about ecosystem?
not ecosystem. It is possible, say like somehow we have a problem in our eye, it is not working properly, still it is possible that you can actually see, if we can put an artificial eye. What actually we need, look at in there, that optic nerve is taking the signal. If we can give that optic nerve the same signal which eye is actually producing in the retina, then you can see actually the exactly the same thing that is actually happening. Because if you get the same signal, the main part is done by the brain, that visual cortex, that part of the image, the part of the brain which actually generate the image. Okay, that is actually working mostly, and so that if we can put the signal up to that, then actually it is possible. So if someone is actually, it could be very complex, because the artificial machine, what actually it can produce, that is not the same with actually the optic nerve can get. The optic nerve can get a signal, maybe that signal we are not sure that whether it is electromagnetic signal or not, how we can actually give it a signal. But I have seen, like, there are some, you can actually design a glass, so that glass actually someone is wearing, that glass has the camera, and it can give some kind of senses or signal to that optic nerve, so without eye you can see, it is possible. Okay, I
Yes,
have
sir.
seen in one
This
that there are
type
some
of glass
research.
and
Yes, sir. The
Yes,
technology have developed, it only can detect the color yet. They're still
yes.
working on that.
So still it is in working. So we whenever we had a that brain engineering research group in IBAT, so that time I was also interested and went through some of those topic that time. That and also we believe that it is possible. As you can see that it is actually possible, right? So
so
something
already exists.
already exists, but it is not effective in that way that it gives the senses. What actually they have done, they work out in the eye system actually, but without eye it is very difficult, because you have to give actually the
Yes.
signal directly to the optic nerve for that visual cortex, which is a little bit complex. hopefully someday you can see that it would be so easy and simple that people can do many things with the machine. The object you have done C++ with but not Java maybe, right? Have you done the Java as well?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, not really. Maybe we consider that you have done C++, and in C++ the object-oriented programming concept you have got. What is object in object-oriented programming? We will make a relationship with this object as well.
Any entities we call object.
Any entity is called object? No, I said object in object-oriented programming. What is called object? Yes, Ashik?
Yes, sir. I got your question, but I don't not getting the way to answer.
But you have done C++. You know that. Yes, Minhaj.
Sir, in C++, any abstract data type is called object.
Abstract data type called object. Are you sure? So far I know that abstract data type is called class. Then how it is related with class? Yes, Minhaj?
Sir, object is looks like objects and class are like same.
Then why they are different? Why they are having different name?
No, class is the blueprint, we can say.
And blueprint means what? I don't understand that specific word actually.
Like we have a shape of a building, so that we can consider class, and we can reshape that, or we can color as we wish. That is the object.
Sir, object is the things which is found in real world.
Really? So we have no discussion about unreal anything, Pratasha. Everything is real world. So
Object is a single instant of a class.
single instant of a class. I like the word whenever you use like blueprint, now instant, right? But it's still, why you cannot explain in a very simple way?
Object is the same class type. We can create many objects from same class type in C++.
And that is the process you are saying. But if someone have no idea about those things, how you make them understand, then we can understand that you understood, right? The concept of class, the concept of object and class definitely is not same. That's why they are having two different terms. Even in the programming component, they are actually in a different existence, as you can see. So Ashik tried to explain actually, but you did not clear it up. Like you said, the shape of the building, right?
Yes, sir.
That is maybe class. Now, what actually class can have? Shape of the building, as you have said.
It has the features.
It has the features, right? Exactly. That's coming the features, as you know. Like we can segment that features in two different type. One is actually we are saying that this is maybe properties, and this is maybe those property how they behave, right? One we call the variables, one we call the methods, right?
Yes, sir.
So you need to understand how they are different, the variable and method. So variables are actually the what is called the physical attribute that we are actually discussing, right? But how those attributes are actually having interaction, that is actually the methods or function. Now this goes for class, and this is also actually called the abstract data type. Now how the object comes in here? Object is actually, we cannot use that class in the body, right, in the program. How we can use that class? We made some small object from that class, and that object is, that's why called blueprint, because it is taking all the attributes, like my children is getting the attributes of mine, maybe genetically, right? So at some point I cannot have an exercise, maybe my children is actually having that exercise, taking the all attributes from me. So it comes the inheritance then, but that is different. But the class actually would be exercised in the programming, that you can use it through the object. Okay, so object is having actually all kind of features of the class, but they are not same. You have seen that they are not actually same. Now this is definitely, I'm not going to discuss about object oriented programming here, because you have done the programming. The interesting thing is, you know, that is still this is the top up to date methodology for the programming language, so that you need to understand the object oriented programming, the objects and all this concept very well. Okay, because whenever the next methodology something will come with the programming language, then you have to adopt it, then this is very necessary. Now if we consider our image, any image is actually having a different object in that, right? Then how I can actually define it? Like two object you can see in the diagram here, and the two object has actually we are calling that's a self-contained thing. Okay, that has a structure, that is structure we are calling the properties, and that structure with this object, one object to another object, have some kind of relationship, that is we are calling the behavior or the methods or function. You can see that all the things are actually same. So if you are an object as a human, okay, your structure could be your actually properties. How do you behave with another object, say like another human or maybe the environment surrounding you, that could be the methods of the function. Okay, the object primitives, we can say like primitives are actually the primary those points like lines, polygons free from surface, etc. That can be actually that the properties we can say. And attributes are actually line, style, color or surface texture, that what actually have that in the body. And the connectivity, relationship and positioning data that describe how the components fit together. Okay, so the objects has two things, the primitives and attributes, and they are actually at the very when we are saying primitives, then definitely it's about that in the shape with that primary content of the geometry, like point or line. Okay. And you know that this is also we can identify, like you see the sun at the sky, and it is an object, it has some attribute, that attribute or property, but when actually it has a position in one place of the sky, it actually over the time move from one place to another place. Okay, so that during that movement it had some actually influence to the entire image. So it is actually on the top of the head, maybe the brightest color it can come up. Okay, when it goes in the two of the edges part, then actually the light is actually a little bit low. So why I'm actually giving you an example, think about a graphics designer from point of view. So if your sun is an object and your sky is actually another object, say like in a ground is another object, so the light actually changes will happen according to the position of the sun, right? So you if you write a program, you can see that one object to another object has some relationship, and on the basis of that actually your image is actually changing. Okay, so that relationship is also important. All right, I think virtual environment, some few topic we have that we'll go through quickly maybe by tomorrow, then we are heading for some algorithm. Okay, so hopefully yes, do you have any question for today? Anything, any question? If not, then maybe we'll see you in the next day. And this week I'll try, but from now on we'll try to speed up a little bit. Later it's coming with many actually algorithms or many activities with the mathematical activities. Maybe we need to do through a camera that I will going to set up. And you also need to have some workout during the classes if it is possible. Always try to take the note, or when we go for solution or solving or write up, you try to also write up. Okay, because some content I don't have any actually material that I can actually give you. You have to take it from the classes. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, take care. I'll see you day after tomorrow then.
Okay, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.